Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels to short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts. And it's a good morning.
Good morning, Sarah.
Steve, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy Wednesday to you. I was looking forward to this.
Were you?
Yesterday, yeah. I was like, you know what? I need some of that early morning energy with Sarah. You get it, to get some laughs in. I'm excited to be here today.
You know, we like to make sure that there's a little bit of laughs on the show here with some serious stuff.
Yeah. You know, well, you're here in Los Angeles. You're not traveling this week. Any travels coming up?
No, the only travels are just in a 4-block radius of my apartment.
All right.
And it's fantastic. No, you know what's so funny? It is so great being home that even my phone sent me a message yesterday saying, "You've been sleeping more than usual." I was like, okay, thanks, phone. That's not weird. But, you know.
Yeah, well, that shows you how active you are. And I've got a trip coming up in about 10 days. So I'm hoping we'll talk about this later, but government shutdown stuff. Let's see if I get to my trip.
I think you will.
I think you will. There. So I'm excited about that. But, you know, a lot going on in our world of hospitality, a lot of reports coming out, different things in the news.
Yep.
We've got a great show today, I think.
We do. We actually have a special guest on our show. But quick before, look, Christelle is in Santa Monica.
She beat us to it.
Hey, yeah. By the way, let us know where you're joining us from. I'm obviously in you can't tell, but it's not sunny Los Angeles. It's barely bright. Thanks.
Here in beautiful Miami, this is like the weather that I love. That, you know, nice high 70s, breezy.
That
go outdoors.
Crisp 78 degrees.
That crisp fall Miami weather is my favorite time of year.
Fantastic. Yeah. So let us know where you guys are joining us from. It's been a big week.
Yeah, I was gonna say before we jump in, how are you dealing with the time change? It threw me off on Sunday. I forgot about it.
Oh, wait. I totally forgot. And then I went to go for a drive down to Malibu because I haven't done that in a very long time. Immediately regretted that because I drove by all these burned down buildings. But the other side of it is I kept driving and I'm like, I was on a hike yesterday and it was definitely bright. I could not figure it out. And then finally I was like, hey, Siri, when does daylight savings start? And then Siri's like, it started today. And I'm like, cool. Look at me figuring it out at 5. Oh, it
starts on Sunday.
There she is.
2026.
It works.
November 1st,
Girl.
2026.
All right, Siri, relax. Lou, good morning from Charleston, South Carolina. One of my new favorite cities.
Good morning. Exactly.
Yeah, so it threw me off too. I woke up, had my morning coffee. I'm like, it is brighter than normal. What's happening here? I feel a little more well rested. So anyhow,
good.
We're feeling more well rested. We got a great show. So should we get into it? Enough coffee
talk? Yeah. So we actually have a special guest today, and we're really excited about this. We've got Meghna Maharishi, who is the Skift Airlines reporter, and we figured no better than now to bring on Meghna, just because there is a lot that is going on in the world of air travel, and yeah, so we're looking forward to her. What she's kind of seeing and hearing on the ground. But why don't we go ahead and have her come on? Meghna, join us.
Meghna, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks so much for having me.
So where are you joining us from?
New York.
New York City, where everything's going on. It seems to be the center of the universe right now with all the voting. We won't talk about politics. But
it's always the center of the universe. Come on, Steve. Come on.
I think Miami's coming soon. We're coming to take over that.
Oh my gosh, Miami's been working on it.
I don't know about that, but
Woo! Oh my
I like
gosh,
the fire.
we have
Megna.
New York, LA, and Miami. Come on, Steve.
We got all the cities here. So, Megna, it's great to have you here. We got to talk a little bit about you or with you backstage, but we're excited to have you on here. I think, why don't you tell people, again, a little bit about your background and then what you see going on in the world out there?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm an airline reporter at Skift. I've been covering the airline industry for around 3 years now in total. I've been at Skift for almost 2 years. And, with airlines, it's never a dull moment. There's always something going on. So, we can talk about the government shutdown. We can talk about really anything. I feel like it's always a busy time of the year when it comes to airlines.
Oh, totally. It definitely is. So, I mean, that is the big thing right now. Like for all of us that are seeing the news, I mean, I travel. Oh, so wait, actually, question for you. How often how many flights do you take?
It's actually so bad. I don't really travel that much.
No, it's okay.
I feel like there's something nice about airlines. Like I think maybe I don't know, maybe I fly less than 10 times a year. Really, I don't know. I don't really like take that many vacations necessarily. And then for work,
and if you're not traveling for work,
everything's scarce. But yeah, I'm not like the biggest traveler actually, but I do cover airlines. So
yeah. Oh, so no, but I love this because I do want to hear. I mean, like you're hearing everything that's happening in the space, and I mean, gosh, I think this is a slow year for me, and I'm probably at like 77 flights, which is just ridiculous. It's crazy. I might as well be a flight attendant at this point. But it's been interesting because I'm based in Los Angeles. I flew out of Denver. Prior to that, I actually flew into Miami. So I've been around. I've been flying into some of the major hubs in and out and then through Atlanta, through the shutdown. It's been smooth sailing for me, but I mean, what I'm seeing online and some of the videos, like Houston Airport, oh goodness gracious. Like it's wild out there. So why don't we just talk about like where we're at in the government shutdown? What day is this? Is this day like 38? What day is it in the shutdown?
I believe it's day 35. So now it's tied as like the longest shutdown with 2019 right now. Tomorrow will officially be the longest shutdown in U.S. history. Given there's no indication that the government will reopen anytime soon. And I think as far as travel goes, I think with 2019, it pretty much ended when they had to close LaGuardia for a few hours because air traffic controllers weren't showing up. And then there were delays at airports like Atlanta and Philly and Newark. Mm-hmm. And then I think Congress just had to come together and reopen the government. This time around feels very different because we have been seeing staffing shortages at various airports, like at different days throughout the shutdown, but I don't think it really has compelled Congress yet to come to some sort of solution. So it's really unclear how long it will last. And I think as far as travel, you kind of just have to hope you're lucky pretty much.
Yeah, and are you seeing any like specific data on like cancel flights or delays, or is there anything kind of number wise that you're noticing as you're doing the reporting?
So it really varies just by the day. And like there are a lot of delays at airports that are due to like other reasons, such as construction, for example, and not necessarily because of a staffing shortage. However, the percentage of delays that are caused by staffing shortages has increased throughout the shutdown. I think there have been some days where 40% of the delays out of airports across the country are a result of staffing shortages, which is very high. And like, I think the average is normally around 5% of those delays are a result of staffing shortages. So it definitely has been magnified during the shutdown. But I mean, again, like it just really changes by the day. Like I think if you ask an average traveler at the airport or somebody who has traveled a lot throughout the shutdown, they would probably tell you their experience at the airport has mostly been normal and they haven't really been stuck in anything, unless maybe there was also really bad weather or something like we saw in New York. Last week, there was the rain and everything.
Yeah. So actually, so interesting. So my cousin was flying from Salt Lake through Atlanta to New York because she was going to come there to go and support her friends running in the marathon. And she got to Atlanta and then couldn't get to New York. And by the time they like delayed her flight and like finally put her on another flight, she was like, this is ridiculous. I'll be in New York for 12 hours, not worth it. So she basically spent the night in Atlanta and turned around and went right back home. But I mean, we also saw in Houston, I mean, those were some crazy lines, and I don't know, it just, yeah, right. That was insane. So I don't know, if I went to the airport and I saw that, I would turn around and go back home and be like, I got to figure this out if I could. I don't know.
I have a question then for Meghna on this. So what are the airlines saying about this? Have you heard any of the airlines coming out or any of the CEOs of the company saying anything yet? Or are they just waiting on the government to fix things? How are they dealing with this?
So the major airlines at this point, they're pretty much advocating for what the Republican side wants with this shutdown, which is for Democrats to pass that clean spending bill, which will just reopen the government short term. They'll probably have to come back to it in a few months and negotiate something new. But that's pretty much what the industry right now overall is supporting. Last week, the CEOs of United Airlines and American Airlines attended an event at the White House where they met with the vice president to discuss the impact of the shutdown on aviation. And then publicly, when they were facing press, they all pretty much said that they wanted Congress to pass that short-term spending bill now because they were afraid that the longer air traffic controllers go unpaid, the worse staffing shortages will get. Air traffic controllers have already missed one paycheck, which was on October 28th, and they received a partial paycheck on October 14th. But there is like a worry that now if they miss like a second paycheck, who's going to show up to work? And then also, if this goes on until Thanksgiving travel, which I think now is becoming more of a real possibility, and it is something that has been discussed with Republican leadership in Congress and everything too. Now there's like a real worry as to like how that could snarl what would be a pretty busy holiday travel period and what has, been becoming a very busy holiday travel period over the last few years.
And you mentioned holidays, and Sarah, I'll let you come in after, because I was thinking about it as I was driving by the airport the other day. You have UPS and FedEx and Amazon and all those kind of flights as well going in and out. Have you heard anything on how like that may affect like packages and gifts, Black Friday coming up? Anything in that world that you're seeing?
So far, I haven't heard anything about the shutdown necessarily being like a major issue when it comes to like cargo necessarily. Although obviously the UPS, they did announce that they are doing a ton of layoffs right now, but they are also expecting a pretty busy holiday season. So I don't know. I haven't heard too much on that end, but I will say, at least on the passenger side, I mean, for the most part, it's been okay to travel. Like, it's still relatively safe and everything too. Like, that hasn't changed since the government shut down. The problem is you just don't know when you're going to enter the airport. And then it just so happens maybe none of the air traffic controllers show up. And then your flight is delayed for hours until somebody does show up. Because that is what happened in Orlando last week, for example. I think there were no air traffic controllers on their shift that I think on a Thursday night. And it caused like kind of like a cascade effect of like delays that just sort of spilled everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing from our live reporter Christelle on the ground. She's saying that my direct flight from Fort Lauderdale to LA was canceled and rescheduled with a stop in Atlanta, leaving an hour and a half earlier with an hour layover and arriving an hour later. Major inconvenience. And then there's LA's Terminal 4 and 5 remodel with exploding emoji.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can see you book a direct flight, and then all of a sudden you have to stop somewhere, and it's starting to get more and more. And if we're seeing it with Christelle, we'll see what happens with my flight in a couple of days. There's a lot going on out there. So, what do you think, Meghna? What do we leave our viewers with here and listeners? Where do you think this will be going, just from all the tea leaves that you've been seeing and all the reporting you've done over the last couple of years?
Right now, I think this shutdown has just generally been so unique compared to other shutdowns, where even this time around, it doesn't necessarily even seem as if air traffic controllers are, able to bring like an end to it. So right now, it just seems as if you can expect more of the same, and you kind of just have to like hope you're lucky that when you go to the airport, there aren't like a ton of delays, or that the TSA wait time is fine. Like, I think for the most part throughout the shutdown, the TSA wait times haven't really ballooned, although we did see it go up to 4 hours, I think, out of Houston a few days ago. So like, there are those off chances that can happen. It might get worse though during the holidays, with everybody traveling to go back home to see family for Thanksgiving, and then also if at that point, like air traffic controllers would have missed 2 paychecks on track to miss a 3rd paycheck. I mean, like that could really be a bad scenario. But I guess also it's really just like a wait and watch type of game, and whether if Congress will come to some sort of deal on this or some sort of way to at least just pay the air traffic controllers so this isn't a concern during the shutdown.
It just feels so negligent, like, because like, I mean, there's a part of it that's like, there's so much like, I mean, it's public safety. I don't know. I get so many mixed, or not mixed. I get strong feelings about it, but it's wild. I mean, I'm curious to see like what's going to be the tipping point, if at all.
It will be. I think what Magda's been saying, it's going to get louder and louder. What Christelle is saying, that will multiply by millions of people traveling. Holidays, if you mess with people's families and holidays and memories that they're going to make because they couldn't get somewhere for a wedding, like I have a wedding during that weekend I have to fly to. Like these are things that will really make people get really loud and say, hey, get this together or you're out. And voting, is the way to do it. So it will be interesting to see how this continues to go. But on a more serious note here, Meghna, you get to cover all the airlines.
Yes.
Are there anything that excites you out there that you're seeing that you love about these airlines, or something that really you're like, wow, this is very cool, or stands out to you because you get to study this every day?
Yeah. Great question.
I mean, I don't know. There's like so many different things. I guess like one of like the big themes that we've been seeing for maybe the past 2-3-ish years at this point has been like premium is everything. And it's really interesting to see even like US airlines, which I don't think have had historically that perception of necessarily being the most premium, especially if you're comparing them to something like an Emirates or whatever.
Sure.
Nowhere near that. But it's interesting to see like how they're now really kind of pushing in on premium. And, like we saw like the Delta One lounge open in JFK like a year ago. And I think that, at least to me, because I got a tour of it when it opened, that was very impressive for like a US airline to have a lounge like that, offering like a restaurant and having all these amenities where you can get your suit like dry cleaned before your flight, or like you get to take like a special elevator to your gate. Like we haven't like seen like that level of premium, I think, in a long time. And like now it's just interesting to see that resurgence. I think even United, they're rolling out basically a cabin that is like first class, but they're not calling it first class. It's just like an elevated version of their Polaris suite too. But I'm always like curious as to like how long like this premium boom is necessarily going to last, because it is also kind of dependent on a good economy, or like, whatever sector of consumers that they're having. It's dependent on them wanting to spend that money. So I guess it's just interesting to see also how long that lasts when you look at everything else going on in the world and in the news. But I don't know, to me, that's been very fascinating.
It's true.
Dare we say, do you have some favorite airlines?
They're all her favorites. They're all her children.
Oh, I mean, I'm like,
if you're not allowed to say, you don't have to say. You can also be airline agnostic. It's okay.
I'm very basic with the way that I pick flights. I really just mostly go off of the price. And I'm in New York, so it's always either like Delta, American, or United, pretty much. Sometimes like JetBlue, depending on where I'm going. I guess of the three, I probably fly Delta the most, just out of like LaGuardia. It's very convenient. But I'm not sure if I have like a favorite necessarily. I'm a very like routine like economy flyer, and I'm one of those people, like if I go on a vacation, like I would rather spend more money on like the hotel and the experiences than the flight. So I guess I don't typically have like a very strong opinion. As long as I just get there, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. And when I was traveling less,
hold on, you're Miss Delta. What are you talking about?
Whoa, hold on. I was saying I don't want to spend a lot on my flight.
Oh, got you.
Do I have brand loyalty? 100%. Everybody knows my brand loyalty, except Delta. Kidding. But yeah, so, but I understand what you're saying, because before I was traveling this much when I still worked at a hotel, and so I was traveling a lot, but not quite at the same rate. It was very different for me in how I chose my flights. I chose it based off of schedule and pricing, which I think a lot of people do, because I mean, if you're traveling 10 to 12 flights a year, if that type of, you're going to be choosing your flights in a very, very different way than if you're traveling over 50 flights a year. And then that's where the loyalty game obviously makes a lot more sense. But you brought up a really interesting point, is that domestic airlines, you can't really compare them to the international ones. And so it's interesting that they are kind of trying to like up their game, so to speak, as far as their offerings. And yeah, Delta One, Polaris, they've definitely done a great job with that. So it is interesting, even though we are hearing that the luxury market sector is continuing to stay strong, and that those are the individuals that would fill those seats. When those seats are not full, then it becomes an upgrade game. And so everybody's going to want like that free upgrade where they can to those seats. And then what does that do to the numbers on the back end, and how consistent, how often does that end up happening? And that's where it'll be interesting to see how long they lean into it.
It's funny though, with as far as the upgrades go, at least with Delta, I think those upgrades have been happening less and less often, because most of their business class seats are basically being paid for. I think like back then it was mostly like if you were a loyal flyer, you would get upgraded. But now that's a lot harder because people are actually buying the seats, and that's how those seats are getting filled up.
Well, they also have to thin the herd. So they're still going through that whole process where, like in the pandemic, they let everybody keep their status. It became easier to get. That's how I first got a taste of the higher status. And now that they've changed how people can keep their status, most of the colleagues that I know that always had like, Delta Diamond status for many, many years are telling me, they're like, I'm not making it this year. I'm not making it this year. I'm not making it. And then here I am, $1,000 of spend away from making it. And I'm going to be that person that I never thought that I would be. That's like, where can I fly so I can spend $1,000 so I can maintain my status? But it's harder. It's definitely harder.
It's harder, but they're still having a lot of people like with status. And I mean, they're offering even more expensive products. Like they've been increasing the fees of credit cards. So there's clearly like a lot of demand. It's been very fascinating to see, like, especially how this sort of, I guess, wealthier traveler is very resilient and just willing to spend on a good experience pretty much.
I'm in the process of booking a $20,000 round trip Emirates flight for clients of mine. Ain't no thing. Some people.
Wild. I love it.
Love it. It's crazy. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being able to like join us and talk to us about all of this.
Yeah, I think too, we have a story. Maybe Meghna, you want to hang out with us for a little bit longer about him. We can come back to Marriott, which we have to talk about, but American Airlines, right, just announced that they're going to be doing corporate layoffs and some bigger implications. And they're talking about streamlining their operations like everyone is doing right now with technology. And they're also focusing on enhancing their luxury kind of flight programs. What are you seeing on that story?
Yeah, so it looked like the layoffs that American was doing, it seemed it was more as if, we hired too much during the pandemic and in the couple years like out of the pandemic, and now we don't need as many people. It seems as if a lot of the cuts are mostly affecting like tech roles. At least like if you go in any forums, it seems like a lot of people who are like, I worked in IT or in tech at American and I got laid off. Like that seems to be what's mostly being affected. But there are also, I think, other like more support roles and communications roles and people in finance who are also being affected by these layoffs. There isn't really like an exact number of how many people American is laying off, or at least like they haven't put that information out there. But it is kind of coming during a time in the industry where hiring has really slowed down following the pandemic. And I think now also just generally like airlines have been looking at ways to cut costs in any way that they can. I mean, like Southwest, I think months ago, they laid off 15% of their corporate workforce, which is pretty big. And that was like the first time they've ever done like layoffs, I think ever, especially to that scale in their company's history. And then also, I think another thing that's kind of coming out now is also AI and like potentially what jobs can AI do that they maybe don't necessarily need a human to do. We've been seeing a little bit more of that as well with like Lufthansa saying that they want to cut 4,000 jobs by 2030. And then United also mentioned on their earnings call that they eliminated around like 4% of management roles as a result of AI, and they plan on making more cuts in 2026.
Yeah, I smile when I see this because of operational streamlining. It's because they're using AI technology, right? It is
Sure.
all of those positions that, like Sarah, we talked about it last show, and we got to see a lot of this live, where hotel tools that are coming out where you think you're speaking to a human. It sounds like you're talking to a human, and they're responding to you on the phone. And then that tool is then sending a message to the department that needs it. So those 2 jobs right there that are now gone, just in that one little funnel of operational streamlining. So I think we're going to see this more and more. So if you're listening to me out there, if you're entering data, if you're just taking phone calls, start learning how to use new tools or to become more efficient, because you will be operationally streamlined out of your role in hospitality. So, anyway, that's my soapbox, my TED talk here, because I think it more and more across every industry. It's happening all over the place. But, what is Paul saying? Feels like tech enablement is where you'd want to invest to help streamline processes and trim expenses. I agree with you, Paul, but we'll see kind of what comes from there. Well, Meghna, look, we loved having you on the show today.
Yeah.
It was awesome having you here. You're free to hang out with us if you want. We're going to go talk about some hotel stuff, but you are amazing. I love learning so much from you. And for all the listeners and viewers, make sure to check out all of Meghna's writing and articles on Skift. And where can they find you online if they want to connect with you? Are you on LinkedIn or Instagram or anywhere like that?
I am on LinkedIn, so you can connect with me there. And it is just my name.
All right.
Amazing. By the way, you are welcome to come back and join us at any point. And considering that this shutdown is probably not going to end anytime soon, we might need to have you come back. So
yeah. I'm flying 4 times. I'm flying 4 times this month, so I'll let you know what I see.
Good luck.
Good luck. I love it. Good luck, Steve. Good luck.
I'm gonna need it. I never fly. Now I picked this month to fly, and look what happens. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you, Meghna. Sarah,
thank you, Meghna.
Let's get into what Marriott's doing. What did you see in this Marriott report?
Okay, cool. So this is interesting. So Marriott's 2026 outlook and also business update. So their forecast shows optimism in the future, and it's kind of fueled by obviously the FIFA World Cup. That's going to be happening in several big cities across the country, including Los Angeles, and then also a new co-branded credit card partnerships. So there, as we talked about it with hotels. Obviously, this is huge with airlines. Just continuing to they're seeing this continued strength in the luxury and premium segment. So it's
luxury
interesting.
Keeps going. There was 2 things that really stood out for me here.
Sure.
When the CEO was talking. First, the credit card. Did you see how much money they make from having?
Oh, no. Wait, repeat what that is.
All right. So Marriott has a program where they have their loyalty points and they have credit cards, right? And so those credit cards are run by Chase and also by American Express. And Marriott gets paid for their brand to be on those cards. Nothing else. And they made $619 million from people swiping their branded American Express or Chase credit cards. They didn't have to lift a finger operationally. They didn't have to do anything to earn that money other than have points available. And then the craziest part is they get to double dip. So when that guest checks in to one of their Marriott hotels, they also get a payment from that room from that hotel owner, because it's part of the Marriott, revenue or the reservation generation fee. So it's just an amazing way. It just shows me. I was like so impressed. I actually deep dived into it. I was like, you have a brand and you can create awareness. You get paid just to have that brand that people respect on that credit card. Isn't that crazy? And now they're going to have Chase and American Express renegotiate, go back and forth. And so that $619 million is going to increase. I'll bet we're going to see $1 billion deal.
Oh, easily. And I've mentioned this before, but I interviewed somebody on a podcast many years ago, and it was, he broke down the loyalty business and he was saying with airlines in particular, they make more money from the credit cards than they do from the actual airlines. So there might be time to bring him back on and have that conversation, because this is wild. And of course, in times like this, these bigger brands are obviously going to double down on areas that they can make money in other ways than necessarily just whether it's heads and beds or all of that stuff. So those are some staggering numbers. It's
amazing.
very.
What do you think? What Marriott has done, I'm so impressed with their business model. They own none of the land or buildings for the most part, right?
For the most part, yep.
They collect fees for management. They collect fees on the reservations. They collect fees on the credit cards. They collect fees on a lot of different things, but there's very little risk on a lot of their program because they don't own the land or the buildings in a hotel like a normal hotel operator would have. But the one thing in there that showed was a little concerning, right? They get paid bonuses and extras on performance of those hotels based off of the bottom line. That dropped this year. So even though they're making more on the top, they didn't get hit those bonuses. Why? Because labor is getting more expensive. Supplies are more expensive. Food and beverage is more expensive. So at the bottom line, they're not seeing that profitability number that would trigger them getting more fees and bonuses. So it's something to keep an eye on as we continue on.
Yeah, it's just such interesting time. It's so wild because it all depends on who you're talking to as far as what they're forecasting. And obviously every business is going to try and make like future forecasting look good. And it depends on how you focus and where you focus your business. It can really impact that. So
like every business got to survive on the bottom line. There's ways to fluff things up with revenue per available room and how much you're going to grow on the top. It's what can you actually bring down at the bottom. So
exactly
interesting from this report, but yeah, credit card game is really interesting.
Totally. So I know we're kind of like, should we quickly touch on this next topic?
I think so. We could talk about this one.
Okay, cool. So soil carbon credits, the travel industry's sustainability shift. So the travel and hospitality brands have been really investing in soil carbon credits to meet emissions goals and kind of appeal to those eco-conscious travelers. So how are they doing that? They've got farmers generating credits through regenerative practices like covering cropping and reducing tillage. Also for hotels, this represents like a kind of like a new model when it comes to sustainability partnerships. So purchasing or sponsoring local carbon offsets. But of course, this is interesting. I feel like you've got a lot to say about this considering the projects and stuff that you've got working on.
You know, I'm investing in the farm hospitality industry right now where we're building our project on a hotel on a farm. And so we're excited to see that. And we see a lot of these things now. A lot of people pitching us different products about sustainability and how to offset certain things and partner with people. And I hope a lot of them are real, right? But we're starting to see a lot of them that may be a little bit of fluff. And I think that's what some of the industry is starting to see, like where bad actors who are polluting the air can buy offsetting credits for air and planting trees. And I started learning about some of them, and not everyone's on the up and up. So this is a way to kind of like hopefully make it even more local. So you can see like, I want to offset in the community that my business is in versus I want to buy credits where they're planting trees in another country that doesn't really affect my neighborhood, right? So I saw a lot of those things as I've been learning about it. So this one seems to be doing that. And so I hope that it really does make an impact because there are so many people out there. But I go back to when we talked about the cruise ship, and I forgot which cruise line it was, the CEO said, look, we need to go back to truly having clean energy, not offsetting and things that are kind of greenwashing. So I think that's where we need to get to versus buying these credits, but it's better than nothing. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, no, agree. Couldn't agree more. And again, it is not just happening in hotels and hospitality. I mean, it's happening in a lot of industries. Yeah. So as you mentioned, cruising and I mean, even electric vehicles. So it's definitely fascinating for sure. Okay, why don't we do a quick real-time recap? What have you seen out there on the streets of hospitality?
Listen, I haven't traveled this week. I took it easy, but I will say something. I've tried to be a good neighbor. This week. I've been going for long runs and walks in my community park out here. And the last 2 walks I've been on, a little kid has kicked the ball into the street. And I say, hey, kid, stay on the sidewalk. Parent, I'll go get it. I'm already over here. I go in the street, pick up the ball, bring it back to the boy. Say, hey, enjoy the rest of the day. Just a little kindness ripple, something that was built in us from hospitality. And I think a lot of us can do that, whether it's holding the door for somebody, saying good morning, good afternoon. Like a lot of big cities that we live in don't do that. And I think that it goes a long way by putting that little hospitality ripple into the universe. So That's my real-time recap today.
I love that. The hospitality ripple. Well, I'd almost say it's the hospitality small world effect. Interesting. I've been booking a lot of travel for some of my clients, and I actually have been booking one of the last properties that I worked at, and it's been so cool giving a call to the hotel, and it's like some of the same people still answer the phone, and to just know that like they're just going to go ahead, they're going to exceed expectations and make sure that they are well taken care of. But it's been that reminder of this is a small world, and you never know whose paths you're going to cross with, whether it's in similar roles or completely different roles. But for me, I love that. For me, it reminded me, of my hospitality family. So it's just always that reminder. You will probably cross paths with somebody again in the future, and to always be kind and nice.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. And it goes to our quote of the week.
Yes, let's get into that. You want to say it and share it?
Yeah, I got it here on my screen. Resilience in hospitality isn't about avoiding turbulence. It's about learning how to fly through it.
Ooh.
And I think that's a great example of what I was showing behind the scenes. Not everything will go your way every single day. You're going to have to deal with iguanas sneaking into your vacation rental and having to pull it out, as one of my team members just did this morning. That was not something on the bingo card we had today, but you just never know. And you do things the best you can, and always do it leading with kindness. Like Lou was saying, it never costs you anything. So I enjoy that very much.
Nope. Oh my gosh. It's such a great quote. Yes. And being kind never costs you anything. It's interesting times. And I think that's also a really great quote, considering we are going through turbulent times.
Yeah. Well, you did. And we had a great show today. I'm curious, listeners and viewers, if you're watching on the live, did you like us having Meghna as a guest on? Should we have some more professionals and reporters and people in the industry on? Let us know in the comments if you liked it or not. I did very much. I'm not sure about you, Sarah. I'm sure you did.
Of course. Are you kidding me? I love having people on that, just like some of the different reporters that just can really help us do a deep dive. So
yeah, I love doing a deep dive on certain segments, and we learned a lot today. And I know you definitely learned a lot. And so listeners and viewers, if we learned something, your friends will too. So make sure to send them this episode. Subscribe if you haven't. You can find us on Skift and on all streaming platforms. We love coming to you live every single Wednesday.
That we do.
So until next week, Sarah.
Stay hospitable. Oh, we will get it. Oh my gosh. We'll get it on track one day.
Bye.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.